So, yeah, I'm not really a bad guy, not actually. It's just uh, sort of a complex political context. It's sort of like the situation in the context of the president of the United States, and it's like what I had posted on the Bill Clinton Facebook page, that he was the type that I figured that he would comprehend the good of the context of suggestion that what would actually be a really good thing for the United States actually is 10 presidents of particular qualifications that can be hired and fired. And there are a list of 5 basic qualifications that I have written down. And I cited 4 of them on that particular post. Though essentially they're like things like law, a degree in law, a degree in sociology, degree in military philosophy, and there are like 5. I looked at all of the various types of degrees, and I figured there are like 5 basic qualifications that would be a good thing for the presidents, and there'd be 10 of them, and they could be hired and fired, and they have to answer to their peers. And that's sort of that's sort of why I liked Bill Clinton, because he was probably the only qualified individual that's been in that position in the history of America. And so that's really why I favored Charlie Sheen, because I figured he was the type that would like step into that position and establish 10 presidents of particular qualifications, and he'd be like, "Thanks, America," and he'd go back to his acting career. And I figured he was the type. So, though, I mean, it's in the context of the situation, I'm really not that guy, not actually. It's just that in the context of the various human species, within the situation in the state of Oklahoma and the various southern states, because I'm for the segregation of the Northern Mayans, I actually am required to seem sort of even hostile to our areas. Like I can't accommodate and seem like, well, I'm not a bad guy and people can get along. Not at all. Really, not at all. Though in the context of the various human species, it's like, right now what's most important is the Northern Mayans. Okay? Though after the invaders' descendants are evacuated out of the southern states. After the invaders' descendants actually are evacuated out of the southern states, then it's like, okay, well, in a list of 3, there are 3 priorities, and it's the Northern Mayans, the global population, then the good of Americans as well. And within the long run, I went to high school with the most atrocious of the total gamut of Americans. It was a small little podunk town north of Oklahoma City. And within that context of contrast to compare, I mean, it's partly why I live in the city, because the people within Oklahoma City actually are a lot more reasonable. And right after high school, I moved to the city. It's just where I wanted to actually be. And though the city's not like full of all reasonable people either, not actually. Though that's sort of the cool thing about the global internet, or the global Draconet, is the ability to talk with the people context of opposite side of the planet. Because the Gaians that actually stayed on the Gaian side of the planet really are considerably intelligent people, and they're really, most of them are really reasonable and considerate and considerably intelligent as well. And so within a context of the UN, I think it's a good thing that, well, if Obama had not started a fight with the UN and then incited a big hoax about how the UN actually took control when in fact the United States declared war, or inferred war, which is probably what happened, then I mean, global communication really is good, and it's one of those things that really helped maintain my faith in humanity, because the Gaians that stayed on the Gaian side of the planet really are considerably reasonable, intelligent people. I guess thanks to them, I guess as far as the American population is concerned, they can thank or be angry at their politicians, because it's their politicians that started or implied war against the UN. So, and that's probably what happened. I think that the situation in the context of the UN actually was a hoax, and that there are a lot of vacant profiles, context the Gaian side of the planet. And I might be a little mistaken in that context. It might be, though I've seen a lot less activity. So I guess people will see what happens, though, if the politicians of the United States implied a war against the UN, then America's going to get whooped real bad. Promise. And oh well, really is how I feel. Because, I mean, if the invaders' descendants were evacuated out of the southern states, really, America did not deserve the good of my point, because that would make them look really good. Like, suddenly they're considerate people, really? Wow. They're going to let the Northern Mayans actually have a segregated area where the Northern Mayans can establish a society where they can get through high school and college. I just sort of I have a reason to not actually expect that come easy, not at all. I think that would require a lot of conscientious objectors to raise a big fuss, because really within the context of population, the United States politicians actually are way outnumbered. Within a context of when it arrives to a reasonable point, the politicians actually are blown out of the water. They're obviously not qualified. I mean, it's like Mary Fallin, governor of Oklahoma, raised the taxes on tobacco, and it's like, and she called it a sin tax, and it's like, how can she call anything a sin? And it's like, the secondhand smoke within my tobacco reacts with the chloroplasm I wrote chloroplasm. The chloroplasm within the leaves of trees and plants, and then the photosynthesis, along with the carbon dioxide of my secondhand smoke, incites the creation of oxygen. While separate the context, a bunch of automobiles that have fuel emissions of carbon monoxide destroy the ozone layer, alright, and create greenhouse effects, and it's really terrible things. And so it's really obvious that Mary Fowline and various politicians within the southern states are obviously not qualified for their positions, not all. And they didn't think about that, and they didn't care, and alright. So, aside of that, cigarette tobacco actually is a consecrated herb for the northern Mayans, and most of the tribes actually consider cigarette tobacco a consecrated herb, and it's sort of similar to the coiled asp. I mean, various of those cultural beliefs actually are contexts of profound truths that are preserved for the good of truth. So within a context of the sign of the coiled asp, actually, in that perspective, it's context that the golden ratio is ordered smaller to larger. And, well, I think that's sort of sufficient. I just wanted to actually make that point because